I'm going to go ahead with the meeting beginning ritual now. 起立，面向佛堂，参加先鞠躬，一鞠躬，再鞠躬，三鞠躬，参加各位的传习鞠躬，开班一鞠躬，请坐下。Please be seated.
Help, I am devastated by recent events. Can the Tao help me deal with my shock and frustration? And by the way, the question that was asked did not say recent events. It said, the results of the election. But I want to take a further step back so that I am not actually taking a particular side and not being judgmental on anyone or anything or any party. But rather, I think the lessons of the Tao are remarkably effective and uniform in a case like this. So I wanted to provide the answers to everyone. So looking at the clock right now, I think we have time to deal with this answer before we take our mid-meeting break. All right, so you guys probably recall that whenever we do the Q&A, I provide a short answer for people who are short on time, and then I provide a longer answer and the full answer. So can the Tao help me deal with my shock and frustration? Short answer, yes. I know that's not very helpful, but that's the shortest possible answer. So the slightly longer answer is yes, it can. The Tao can definitely help you deal with your shock and frustration. When something goes horribly wrong in your life, no matter what it is, you will need the Tao more than ever. So that's still not really answering the actual question. The actual question that is unstated is, how can the Tao help me deal with my shock and frustration? So even though it wasn't phrased as that question, I know that's the real question, and I'm going to provide the real answers to the real question, and not just stop at the longer answer. I have the full answer. The full answer comes in a distilled form. After everything's said and done, after all the points that can be made have been made, you can boil them down from the Tao perspective into just several points that are easy to remember. So it's 3 points for most everyone, and there's a point number 4 for the people who have received the Tao and have learned about the 3 treasures. So let's go ahead and delve into those points. Full answer, number 1, is to recall the lesson of impermanence. So impermanence means everything changes, nothing lasts forever. So when you are in the middle of a painful experience, it may feel like it will never come to an end, but it will, because that's guaranteed by the nature of impermanence in this world. So as bad as things are, what does this really mean when we apply the lesson of impermanence? It means that this too shall pass. Okay? So remember that as the first step in helping you cope with something that's terrible or tragic or horrible. This too shall pass. And this applies equally well to last week as it does to various calamities in life, personal tragedies. But this is what we all have to remember. That's number 1. Number 2, realize, this is a continuation on the theme of change. Realize that the winds of change can come from any direction, so sooner or later it will be against you. So the metaphor here is to imagine yourself as being on a sailing ship in this ocean. The ocean is existence or life itself. So the winds of change can come from any direction. So there are times when things are going well, that means the wind is at your back. You are heading in a certain direction, and the wind, it's like it's helping you. It's blowing you in that direction, exactly where you want to go. There are other times when the wind is not exactly perfect, but you can work with it. You can still use part of its force to help you get closer toward the direction where you want to go. And it's true, even if the wind is coming at a perpendicular angle to the direction of your intended destination, you can still use some of that force, angle it. Okay? So, realization number one, there's no predicting which direction the winds of change will come. Sometimes it's at your back, sometimes it's blowing directly against you. What then? So, calamities in life, horrible things that happen, horrible things that come to pass, are all represented in this metaphor as the wind suddenly, a strong gust of wind is suddenly now blowing against you, impeding your further progress. Okay, so now what? This wind that's blowing against you, without a doubt, it will defeat an unskillful sailor. The sailor will throw up his hands and say, well, there's nothing I can do. Look, best thing that we can try is to take the sail down so the wind will have minimal effect on us. And then maybe we drop the anchor and we remain here until the wind changes direction again. When's that going to be? I don't know. We're just going to have to wait and see. Okay. Throwing up your hands and shrugging, expressing total, complete frustration. Feeling very helpless and powerless. That is the unskillful sailor. But if you didn't have the unskillful sailor, if you had the skillful sailor, he will say, well, this is not ideal. This is far from ideal. This is the opposite of the ideal. However, I can still work with it. Now, this is true in sailing. Even when the wind is blowing against you, a skillful sailor knows how to tack the sail against the wind and still make progress. It seems unlikely, but in reality, it does work. What it looks like, if you were to take satellite imagery of a skillful sailor at work, sailing against the wind, directly against the wind, it will look like a zigzag course. So in every zigzag, the sailor is angling the ship. So it's not exactly perpendicular to the wind that's coming. It's at a slight angle to it. And the sail itself is also at a slight angle. That's different again from the ship. So the combination of that actually causes the ship to go forward at an angle that's nearly perpendicular, but not quite to the incoming wind. So by zigzagging, the sailor can still make further progress toward the destination, toward the intended destination. Now, as the skillful sailor says, it's not ideal. It's far from ideal. It's the opposite of ideal. And it takes a whole lot more work than otherwise. If the wind is on your back, you don't have to do a whole lot. You set up the sail and you go with it. And then you just enjoy the cruise. This takes a lot more work. You have to be watchful of the wind. You have to make sure that the riggings of the sail is correct and the orientation of the sail is just right to allow you to make progress. It's much more work than before. And the progress toward the port of your destination is a lot slower than it would have been otherwise. But the bottom line is, one, there is something you can do to make adjustments in response to changing conditions. And two, you will still make progress. Not as much progress as otherwise, but you're going to make progress. It's not zero. You don't have to drop anchor. You don't have to throw up your hands in frustration. So the lesson here, number two, is to be the skillful sailor. And if you don't have enough skills to be skillful, it's time to learn those skills, the skills of the Tao, to master the art of living life even in times of adversity. Number three. So this is something that I think everyone can do. This is something that I personally would like to recommend. consider going on a news fast. In the spirit of practicing what I preach, this is something that I have done myself. So I used to, first thing when I turn on the computer, first thing when I fire up my browser, I used to just go to my favorite news sites to see, hey, what's going on with the world? Now I want to give the news fast a chance. I want to try for maybe like a month, maybe 2, maybe 3 months, see what it feels like. Why? Couple of reasons. Number one, it's going to help you maintain your peace, your calm state of mind. That's number one. And number two, you may actually learn something about yourself. You may learn that you don't actually need to be constantly aware of everything that's happening all the time. You may not actually need it all that much. And what you did before, consuming news items nonstop, 24/7, that was more like an addiction than an actual need. So will you just become completely non-functional as a human being? No, indeed, you will not. You will continue on quite well as yourself. And, when something big happens and people are talking about it, you're going to find out about it, even though you are not plugged in to the news channel all the time. So that's number 3, consider a news fast. And number 4, for people who have received the Tao and learned the 3 treasures, this is a really good time to put that to practical use. Whenever you feel anxious, whenever you feel like it's going to overwhelm you, that is when to call upon the power of the 3 treasures. You will find that they are remarkably effective, remarkably powerful. They will get you going, and you will become more effective than ever. So I put number 4 in blue only because I'm aware, especially with the online audience, that it doesn't apply to everybody. But for those who do have it, it's a very good idea to put it to some use. And you end up understanding and appreciating why they're called the 3 treasures. They're truly valuable.
Let's go ahead and do the meeting ending ritual, everybody. 起立，面向佛堂，持架3鞠躬，1鞠躬，再鞠躬，3鞠躬，持架规则是1鞠躬，接班1鞠躬。Okay, everybody, we are done.
Participate in the Tao meeting by joining us online. For information, go to Taoism.net/Tao